Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for November 27th, 2023. We'll call the meeting to order and ask for an adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councilor McLean,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And just for the record, Councilor Bruin is not able to attend today's meeting. Item 3, public hearings. There are none. Item 4, adoption of the minutes. Item 4.1, the minutes of regular meeting of council November 14th, 2023. Mr. Tebow.
The meeting minutes are in front of council for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make that motion? Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on November 14th, 2023 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Business arising, there are none. Bylaws. Item 6.1, proposed fee bylaw 19-2023. Mr. Tebow.
So the proposed fee bylaw is in front of you. We have one attachment that speaks to all the changes. This is looking for the rest of the readings, and any questions we can maybe direct through Mr. Orwa and then the other members that are in the room if there are any questions around any of the fees.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right, someone prepared to make that first required motion. Councilor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that council gives second reading to fee bylaw 19-2023 as amended to remove the statement in Schedule A stating vendors have a valid business license will be exempt from the farmers market fees, and adding the 3 infrastructure fees, 45th Ave cast iron sanitary replacement, $3.08 per month, downtown sanitary pipe relining and cleaning at 90 cents per month, and lagoon sludge removal, $3.64 per month.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Carried. Opposed? One opposed. Carried then. Thank you. All right, the second recorded motion. Councilor Renford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can make that motion that council give third and final reading to the fee bylaw 19-2023 as amended to remove the statement in Schedule A stating vendors having a valid business license will be exempt from farmers market fees, and adding the 3 infrastructure fees, 45th Avenue cast iron sanitary replacement, $3.08 per month, downtown sanitary pipe relining and cleaning, 90 cents per month, lagoon sludge removal, $3.64 per month.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to action items. Item 7. Item 7.1, 2024 proposed operating budget. Mr. Tebow.
So the proposed operating budget is in front of council. There's no motions required on this one, just some discussion. So this will be the first time that council has sort of seen a rolled up revenues and expenses on one page. And Mr. Orwa and again other members of the senior team are here to address any questions, concerns.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Mr. Orwa, did you have anything to add specifically, or just open for questions at the moment?
I think I don't have anything to add. It's just for any clarification, because we've rolled up everything that was explained to council from different departments, now rolled into one. So this was just maybe another look at it to see what's happening out there when it's rolled up. The only key thing that you can see year over year is the net taxes. And I think that is now the beginning of the discussions for coming year, which is April, for the mill rates. But what is in there is the tax rate. In other words, year over year, we've increased by about 4.7% to get that revenue. So come next year now, when after looking at the assessment, we'll be looking at, what exactly does assessment look like to give us the correct mill rate to charge to generate that revenue. Apart from that, the rest that you see are just what were explained by different departments, unless maybe there's something very specific you still want to direct. The departmental heads are here to help you clarify. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Orwa, I just have a question in regards to benefits. So is that all set in regards to the KP agreement? I just see that it's changed quite a bit this year, so I was just wondering what the, I know you explained that there was going to be a change, but I'm not sure why.
The benefits of not sure, Mr. Tybalt, if you want to discuss, or we'll be discussing it at closed session with full salaries.
I know the benefits portion can be mentioned, yeah.
So what has changed is the last time when we went through this, I did mention that we're still looking for the extended health. We had not gotten that one. And for that extended health, of course, there is an increase of almost 24.58%. And on the dental side, they have also increased it by about 6.38%. And then the accidental dismemberment also went up by 4.8%. So that's why you're seeing that slight increase. That increase you're seeing from the number you saw last time is basically the benefits. Now, the only thing that has not been reflected there is the WC. We are still using the 2023 WC rates.
Can I just ask?
Sure,
you a
absolutely.
question? So I understand the changes. I was just wondering what dictates the changes. Like, was it because there's a new agreement? Is it because, you know, the age of the employees change and the salaries change, so it dictates, you know, different rates? I just don't understand what makes the changes.
So you want to go first before me? Or?
I just wanted to mention, I think the simple answer is our benefits provider
Okay.
makes those adjustments, and we relay those adjustments along to council. So it's nothing to do with people's wages and salaries. It's to do with our claims base and our service provider, which is, I believe, AB Muniz. Mr. Orwell, is it?
We go through the Alberta municipalities, and every year, you know, there are always renewals, and this is more of just like insurance. You know,
Right.
There are a lot of things dictating the changes out there, which has nothing to do with our salaries around here.
Okay. Yeah, I just was wondering. Thank you.
All right, fair enough, perfect, thank you. Counselor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Ora, the QP retro pay, does that come out of the operating budget 2023 or 2024?
The retro pay, just to clarify, it started from January 1 of 2022. So the 2022 has already been paid, the retro. Now we are in the process of paying the 2023 retro, which I think is coming up in the next paycheck. So that will cover 2022 and 2023. Then the negotiation starts again for 2024 and beyond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all right. All right. Quite a lot of information there, Mr. Orwa. Thank you for putting all that together, as always. Any other questions? All right, and decisions weren't to be made today. This was just for the overview, correct, Mr. Tebow?
Yep, this was just to address anything with council that they might want to bring back to administration. The final
Right.
approval happens at the December 18th meeting for council.
Correct. All right. Perfect. Thank you. All right. One last time. Any other questions arising? All right. Thank you. Moving on to item 7.2, resignation, Taber Municipal Library Board. Mr. Tebow.
I'll hand this one over to Ms. Carrie Van Ham.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Van Ham.
Good afternoon, Council. Yes, we received a resignation from Chanel Torrey from the Library Board, so we began advertising to fill that vacancy. And so that's coming to you for Council for your acceptance.
All right. Thank you. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the resignation of Chanel Torrey from the Taber Municipal Library Board with regret, and council wishes Ms. Torrey the best in any future endeavors. She was really lovely to have on the board.
All right. Thank you. It's nice to hear. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.3, My City Care Waiver Request. Mr. Timo.
So I can explain this one, but Mr. Martin is in the room if there's any questions that I can't field. So My City Care held a concert. Originally, the concert was to be held outside, but then the forecast got them a little scared that maybe outside wouldn't be a great venue. So they ended up renting our auditorium. And they rented the green room, the gray room, and the actual auditorium for the event. After that was all complete, they then submitted this waiver request to be put in front of council. So we've done that. And just to let council know that there was $749.18 left in the 2023 community grant program that was unspent money. Their waiver request would equal $709, which covers the rental of the green room, the gray room, and the auditorium. So that's in front of council for consideration.
All right, thank you. Pretty straightforward request. Money is there. If we choose to use that, any questions arising? Councilor Renfro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that it didn't go as good as it did, like they were hoping, like with the venue. So I think I'm in favor of making the motion of council waiving the My City Care Facility rental fee for Tabor Community Center Green Room and Gray Room in the amount of $709 to be funded through the 2023 Community Grant Program.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Firth.
I guess this is a question for any members of our rec board or anybody that would administer the community grant program. Do we waive fees for fundraising organizations for any other churches in town?
I can't answer that question directly. Mr. Martin, do you know the answer to that particular question? We'd have to take
No, you
that
don't
away.
know,
Oh,
or,
unless
or no, we don't.
Do you know, Mr. Orwa?
Request. It's not just automatic, but it will depend on the way it is requested.
So what does that mean, the way it was requested?
The way it's requested is there are some areas where you cannot waiver some of those areas, and there are some areas where you can waiver. So when we look at some of those areas, depending on who wants to waive, if it's a charity organization, then we look at the criteria out there as outlined by regulations.
Councilor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to kind of have some discussion, I have sat through two rec board grant writing or grant whatever requests, and this probably would fit the criteria. It's not based on the particular group, but what they're holding. It's a nonprofit kind of event that's going to provide funds back to the community, and so I would believe that this would be approved through our committee.
All right, thank you, Councilor Firth.
Thank you for that feedback, Councillor Sorensen. That's kind of what I was wondering is, I'm in favor of it because it's a fundraising organization. It's not a church that's looking to just rent our facility for something and then looking to have their fees waived. But I just wanted clarification that is the way that it is administered through the community grant program. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could add a little bit to that, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. In fact, they did present here a couple of years ago. I think there's a bit of confusion with that, but it never has been a church initiative per se. It's through the church administering that process, but it's a separate entity that just happens to be through Parallel Church that have jumped on board for that purpose, as they do have a couple other separate entities as well that are also supported, but not through the church itself. So I think there's been a bit of confusion in the past, but that's the difference. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to be careful that we're not appearing to, favor one religious organization over another. And so just, as a public body, we just need to be careful about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Councilor Sorensen said, the funds do go back to the community, all about nonprofit and benefits going back to the community where there's a need. All right. Once again, we do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.4, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
So this information for council item will be taken care of by Lisa DeBona. This was something that was brought forward, I believe, by Councillor Sorensen, looking at the recycling program and how it might affect municipalities. It was something that was talked about at the convention up in Edmonton that we attended. So, Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Bona. Good afternoon.
Push the button. So I've just provided some information for you to kind of explain the EPR program, how it affects our residents, how it affects us. We've been monitoring it since about 2021 when Alberta Recycling started talking to it with its members. So we've been involved in all the webinars and the lunch and learns and newsletters and that kind of thing. They handle our paint recycling, used motor oil recycling, batteries, all of that thing. So they would be running the actual running of the program. The Alberta government would set the bylaws and the policies and all of that. Alberta Recycling would take care of the rest and help coordinate it with the municipalities. And so here's the information they've set to us first of all. We are working on our registration. If we join now in this first phase, we probably wouldn't see collection changes for anything until 2025. By the time there's a lot to sort out as far as every community's assets and programs and how they do things. They've said that it won't change how we do our services for our residents. They're hoping that it will expand what we can recycle and how that is recycled. And that is kind of the point of doing this, is to make sure that those products are getting recycled responsibly and being reused, and giving the producers some regulations that they need to follow. BC and Ontario currently have been doing this program for a few years now, and it seems to be working good for them. So we'll see what comes forward. But if you guys have any questions about the information provided.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to Ms. DeBona. I just want to make sure that I understand this program correctly. So it encourages producers to make their packaging of their products more recyclable, or it just offsets or diverts some of the costs from municipalities being responsible for the recycling programs and kind of takes it back to the producer?
Yeah, both.
Both? Okay.
Both. It sets regulations for them on what they're using for packaging, and it takes that cost and puts it on them instead of the municipality.
So overall beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
If all goes well.
Okay.
It's kind of theoretical at the moment, but it does need to change because we have had a lot of, where's the recycling ending up?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a high cost on taxpayers. And the taxpayers want the services, but it is a high cost.
I've had that question from residents. Does our recycling actually go to be recycled, or is it just ending up in a landfill somewhere? So that's
And
good
we
to know.
hope that it does, but we are not responsible for that, what happens next. So this would have more responsibility put on the producers. So
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. DeBona, for looking into this. And yeah, my whole thought about this process is just making sure that we maybe sign up for the program and just make sure that we are in line with the trends, and maybe it is a benefit because the producers will be accountable and be paying for more of the recycling. And if we all band together as a community, as communities, then they'll actually have certain areas that they'll send all the recycling to, and then they'll mass produce more recycled products, which in turn then the producers can use again. So hopefully this is something that we can look forward to, but again, it's a really new program, especially for Alberta. So looking forward to more improvements in recycling. So thank you for looking into this for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. Any other questions? All right, thank you once again, Lisa, for your presentation. All right, moving on to item 7.5, response for standard item 348, 2023 Walmart sidewalk. Mr. Tebow?
I'll ask Mr. Egan to come forward and he can walk us through this one along with his project statement, and council can ask anything they need.
Thank you very much,
Egan.
Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you is a project plan that presents an answer to the standing item that was moved by Councillor McLean to look at the opportunity to extend the sidewalk on 46th Avenue. There is a project statement and a map, and so what we're looking at is extending the existing sidewalk 100 meters and installing 2 wheelchair ramps in order to cross a road. The total project cost, which includes both ramps, design, and some work in the adjacent ditch, is approximately $65,000. And our suggestion from administration is that this be brought forward in the 2025 capital budgeting process so it can be assessed against other priorities at the time.
All right, thank you. Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for looking into this. I was just, really curious as to actually how much it would cost us and if it is something that we could do sooner, when exactly this could be done, if this is going to actually make it safer for people, because I do see a lot of people walking to work even, or just to go and shop in that area. And especially with more construction in the area, I feel like we're going to just see more and more foot traffic. So I think this is a good thing. So I am ready to make that motion, Mr. Mayor, that council receives this report for information and directs administration to bring the project forward for consideration in the 2025 capital project planning process.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councilor, did I miss you? Did you have a question or just wanted to jump in for, okay, sorry. All right. Item 7.6, department reports. Go through those individually. If anybody has any questions, please stop me accordingly. First off, Recreation and Planning Department reports. Economic Development report. CEO Department reports. Engineering and Public Works report. Treatment Facilities reports. Facilities Management reports. Administrative Service report. Finance Department report. No questions whatsoever. Oh, Councilor Becker, we do have a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Missing is the fire department report. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, all right, Mr. Tebow, good question.
I couldn't say if there was a reason for that, but I see that,
We happen to have
Chief
Chief
Munshaw is
Munshaw
here.
here.
So let's fire the question in that direction if we could.
Chief Munshaw, don't want to put you on the spot, but Councilor Becker has a question.
It's an excellent question. I apologize. I was in a course all last week and wasn't able to achieve the getting that into the agenda. I apologize.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Chief. All right, no other questions, no motion required. Moving on to item 7.7, Mayor and Council reports. Councilor Firth, can I start with you, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended some meetings, including the Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to point out that it is the last week to get in Business of the Year, Citizen of the Year, Spirit of Tabor, and Customer Service Excellence nominations. So if you have somebody that you've been thinking of, or a business, or somebody that exhibits the Spirit of Tabor, please nominate those. It's on the Chamber's website. You can do that. It's taborchamber.ca. I also attended a Regional Police Commission collaboration meeting with the Medicine Hat Police Commission and the Lethbridge Police Commission in Lethbridge. Lethbridge Commission hosted. It was very beneficial, I think. We discussed a variety of topics, and it was interesting to see that that most commissions are dealing with similar things, and just to kind of compare how different commissions deal with things. I also attended both sessions of the Coffee with Council and the Trout Pond public consultation, which was great. It was good to see so many people come out and provide feedback on that. And that Trout Pond public consultation, the survey is still open until November 30th on our website, tabor.ca. And I attended the fire department annual awards on Saturday night. So thank you to the fire department and the chief for the invitation, and congratulations and thank you to all the members and all that they do for our community.
Thank you, Councillor Fruth. Councillor Bickering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing exciting to report. I attended all the meetings I'm required to attend and also attended the Trout Pond information meeting and coffee with council, which I thought was all right, but the average age was about 100, I think. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended all the meetings that were required of me this month, and I also attended one Coffee with Council / the public forum, which was fun to attend and get a little bit of feedback from people that way. And I also attended the Diwali celebration that was held here, which was pretty fun. Unfortunately, it was the exact same night as the Fireman's Ball, so I couldn't be in two places at once, but it was lovely to attend that. And so thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Sorry, forgot which button to push. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all my meetings. I did attend the Trout Pond and Coffee with Council for one of the sessions, and I take offense because I did attend that 100-year-old, so I did bring that median down a little bit, I hope. Since the chair of the police commission is here, I do want to promote our information session that we'll be holding tomorrow night, November 28th, right? 6 to 7 at the Tabor Public Library, and it's a discussion on fraud prevention. So if anybody wants to attend, I would highly suggest that. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Councillor Renford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings I had to go to. I went on the Agriplex board, and they had the college rodeo this month. And I am learning that there is a lot going on at our Agriplex. This month they've got Joel Mills is having a boxing sparring stuff, so it was neat to hang out with him. I went to Coffee with Council on the Friday, which was to get more of the youthful one, right? And it was lots of fun, lots of good feedback. Nice to see that area, what it will be. It won't be quick, but it looks like it'll be great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And for myself, very busy month. Attended a variety of meetings as required. Myself and Mr. Thibault met on a few occasions as well. Dealt with documents, check signing requirements. Did a One Tabor Times media interview. I had the D.A. Ferguson Miss Hanson class attend here for a chambers visit and educational discussion. Attended the Safe Haven Family Violence Prevention Walk for the month of November Awareness Month. Also attended the Westlake School for grade 2 presentation with Mr. Rano. Mr. Rano's class on the municipal government. Chamber of Commerce swearing in requirement for new members. That location also did several new business visits this last month, as well as attended the Tabor Veterans Dinner the day before Armistice Day, and attended the November 11th Armistice Day ceremony, and took place with the march with the Tabor Fire Department and emergency service to the Cenotaph as well. I attended the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie fundraiser event as well, along with the Tabor Christian School Mr. Renee Angermeyer grade 7-8 class related to municipal government and mayoral role discussion. Also attended right here in our council chambers with our MP Martin Shields related to a very special recognition event that Martin Shields initiated and asked me to be present and help with the presentation for the Tabor Legion Ladies Auxiliary 25-year service, as well as Carmen O'Grady and the Tabor Police Service members for their 25 service of putting on the Veterans Dinner. So that was a very nice event, a very well appreciated event as well. I also attended the opening of this year's 2023 Winterfest. Hundreds of people in downtown core. The jingle sale was was also very well attended, I believe, Joanne, correct? For the 2 days that was going on. I attended our Tabor Food Bank last week as well, related to our first anniversary of the ostrich extravaganza, and helped our own Megan Brennan deliver 21 turkeys for the food bank and the benefit of our community and area. I did also attend the Parkside Manor Lunch and Invite. I attended one Coffee with the Council and Trout Pond Master Plan open house as well, and that seemed to go over very well. As there was some age there, I guaranteed, according to Councilor Beckering, but it's very very wise individuals that were there as well. But a good mix overall. So I also attended the FCSS Creative Leadership Conference last week. Some 60 students attending, which included a lot of our DO crew members within the community of Tabor, and 40 DO crew members altogether in the south, as well as another 20 students that were told or voted in as creative leaders from their schools in the area. So that was a full day event. I was there for the half day portion. Myself and Elder Charlie Fox attended, as well as the Miss Indigenous World was there. But Emma was the actual winner of that event, and she spoke very well, and that was a very good conference all the way around, and very well behaved, very well engaged young kids, and we've got some bright futures ahead for leadership in our community and area. I did also attend the Diwali East Indian Lunar New Year celebration, another big event. Last year, I believe it was their first one. I think they had some 65 individuals there, and Monica, maybe 150 there at this particular one, I would say, easy. So that was very well done, and it's more and more individuals moving to our country and being part of our community, and are very good with including us, in the different activities, and very happy for other Caucasian members to be there as well, and put on a really good show and a really great celebration event. I did also attend the Tabor Fire Department Christmas party and our awards dinner. That was very well done, and running back and forth, it wasn't the easiest, but I did get to both, and had a lot of fun at both events, and very well done. And again, to reiterate, from Councillor Firth, congratulations on all award winners, and many award winners with our 33 members strong Tabor Fire Department that we can't thank enough for all they do, keeping our community and areas safe. And that would be my report. All right, no motion required, unless there's any questions from anybody. All right. On to item 7.8, standing item, council requests. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, maybe I'll size this down a bit. Oh no, there we go, it fits. So items looked after at this particular council meeting was resolution 347 and 348. The rest of the items do still remain in progress. I don't really have an update on any of those. We have, administration has collected, we attended both of the Trout Pond Master Plan meetings and have captured the completed surveys. I believe there was about another 13 or 14 surveys that were completed on site. So we have until the end of the month, but we are collating those surveys, and then that'll come back out to council once we have them all put together. So that probably would be about the second week of December. Outside of that, I'll hand it back over to council. Anything that was brought up at the Trout Pond meetings, I don't know that there was anything outside of Trout Pond stuff, but if there was, feel free.
All right. Any new standing item council requests? Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing that was brought to my attention at Coffee with Council was they just had a question as to the tree that is lit at the Memorial Park. They were wondering why it's not going all the way up. They look like it's just half lit. And so I was just curious as to if we wanted to complete the tree with lights, because it just looks like, oh, we went halfway up, and she's like, does our fire department not have a ladder that can reach that? I don't know what the intent is with that tree, or anyways, so I thought I brought it up because she asked me and I didn't know really what to say.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Tebow?
People are pointing to Miss Lisa DeBona for me, so we'll get her to come forward. I believe it's Public Works that looks after the tree.
The top of that tree blew off in a windstorm, so that is the top. It just doesn't look like it's the top, but
Fair
which
enough.
sounds silly, but
All
we
right.
may move trees
Right.
next year. Because yes, it does look strange,
All right.
but
Thank you.
it is the
Thank
top.
you. Councillor Firth?
Councillor McLean jogged my memory. I actually had a few people ask me about that and ask about at Winterfest why it is that the tree lighting that we do is lights that hang off of the ladder truck of the fire department rather than lighting the actual tree, because we do have trees with lights on them in that park. And then also the question about why do the lights not go all the way up, which was answered. Thank you. So perhaps maybe in the future we could light those trees or do, I don't know, some other, just passing on feedback that I've heard from the
I
community.
guess I can add a little bit to that. I think Councillor Sorensen also, we did do a actual tree a couple of years in a row for sure, once. But I don't know, was that the council, or sorry, the Chamber of Commerce suggesting to go with the fire truck format? Or, I mean, it looks great to me.
I think I can just bring that back to the chamber, or maybe you can
Yeah.
too, because I wasn't part of that planning, so I'm not sure.
You know, in all
But we
fairness,
did do,
yeah.
sorry.
That's okay,
interrupt,
that's okay, yeah.
But yeah, we did an actual tree that one year.
Couple of years, yeah, for sure.
And then now it's just the police department that does that. And I think it's pretty exciting for the children to see the ladder truck out in the middle there. And so maybe that's why it was changed, but we can take it back to the chamber.
Yeah, it's not an actual tree, but it's the shape of a tree and like 30 feet tall or something. But again, I understood it was probably the chamber's suggestion and or the fire department accommodated, but I mean, the options are open, I'm sure, but for future reference.
Just to be
Sure.
clear, there's nothing wrong with the
Yeah,
fire department
okay.
tree or the one hanging off.
Okay, yeah.
The feedback was just that they thought that there was an actual tree lighting, and so they were standing around waiting for that, and then they realized it was 2 streets over. And they're like,
Okay.
that was the tree? So that's the feedback.
Okay, fair enough. But I think it was pretty clear where the location was anyway, but I guess misunderstandings, communication maybe, possibly, but Councillor Sorensen?
Yeah, I'll just take
Sure.
it back and
Okay, yeah.
we'll just discuss it for next year. We can always do better, right? Bigger
Well,
and better. So
I know there's
we'll
a,
do both, yeah.
yeah, well,
Oh, I can't promise
I know
that,
there was a whole pile of pictures taken of this one, so it seemed to go over pretty well. But yeah, that's, fair statements for sure. All right, any other stand item council requests? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if we could change the format of our meetings a little bit to allow for a committee of the whole in a sense. I know this was brought up before, and I have thought about it, and I would just like us as council, it does not need to be administrative driven. I was just wondering if us as council could have an opportunity to discuss goals and priorities, and just to kind of, I mean, we have our lists, but we don't see them very often, and so I feel like us as a council should be given an opportunity to kind of see if our priorities are still the same and where we are kind of sitting with things, if we want to change those. I would just like us to have an opportunity to just generally discuss things without making any motions, just to have opportunity for discussion.
All right, thank you, and I believe that's exactly where that would have to take place. Mr. Tebow, is that correct?
So when administration looked at this previously, instead of a committee of the whole, it was decided that we would have these strategic priority meetings where those types of things could come up and be discussed. Administration could look at the whole committee of the whole thing again if council so chose. Administration could also have more of the strategic priorities. So it's done quarterly. Typically now it's done quarterly, and if I'm hearing that that's maybe not enough, then perhaps council could direct us to, we could do them more than quarterly. We could do them at any frequency that the council would like.
Yeah, just a question just to add to that. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. And I believe the MD also does that, do they not? For one. And I'm thinking that we also had some discussion with Mr. George Cuff on that topic. And I think he was kind of recommending that also, did he not? So saying that, I guess if there's a way to make this happen in some reasonable fashion, if there's enough interest there, I believe it holds some merit for future possibilities. Councillor Firth.
Maybe I don't understand committee of the whole entirely, but my interpretation of it is that you meet and you discuss. You can't make motions, just discuss within council. It's essentially an in-camera, and then things are still brought forward to a council meeting. My concern with the committee of the whole is that some of the meat of that discussion or the questions are going to be asked in a closed session format, and not accessible to the public. So then when it comes to a council meeting, I mean, I suppose as councillors, it would be our responsibility then to bring that forward. But that decisions could be being made without the background or without the questions. And I don't think that's as transparent for the public.
All right. No, thank you, Councillor Firth, for that. That's good points. I don't know. I'm just trying to think exactly how George Cuff put that. But I'm sure he was leaning in that direction with his training. Was he not, Mr. Tebow?
He did bring that discussion forward. The committee of the whole for the MD, for example, they meet on the off week of council. So every second off week, they're meeting with the committee of the whole, which is discussions around a whole bunch of different things. I'm not 100% certain that it's all closed session. I think there's a combination of both, much like our meetings that we have here. But they disallow for discussion. They don't allow for any decision-making to happen in a committee of the whole type format, or as we called it, a strategic priorities type meeting. I believe when we spoke with Mr. Gordon McIntosh, he wasn't speaking so much in favor of a committee of the whole format because of the type of time that it requires and the type of administration oversight that it requires, and that maybe perhaps the strategic priority meeting might be something a little easier to administer. So that's what administration was doing up to this point. And again, administration will do whatever. We could hold more strategic priority meetings, or we could go to a committee of the whole. You direct administration, and we will look into it.
All right. Thank you, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily trying to have administration bring up things that we then discuss, I guess. I was just wanting us as a council to have opportunities to just, I know we can bring things up during standing item, but I don't feel like we even do a lot of discussion. I feel like we make a motion and then it's up to administration to then bring things back at a later meeting. And even then I feel like there are some questions that are directed towards administration, but us as a council, I don't feel like we discuss things a lot between us. And so I was just looking for more of a, not necessarily relaxed setting, I guess, but just a more of a discussion opportunity, just to discuss things amongst ourselves of things, kind of like a strategic planning session, but yeah, maybe a little more often, just to kind of see where we're at, see how things are going, see if we need to just change direction a little bit or that kind of thing. That's all.
Just a little bit of brainstorming kind of ideas. Yeah, okay. I see where you're coming from. Councillor Beckert, I wonder if I could ask you for a bit of input as our senior member of council. Councillor Beckert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a subject that's been brought up many, many, many times, and I'm always of the opinion that in order to have a meeting be even closely to being fruitful, the subject matter must be on an agenda type situation. I mean, if you have a brainstorming, well, there's enough brains around here that you storm all day, but what's the end result of it, you know? I mean, do you, Councilor McLean, do you envision a meeting that we just kind of talk to each other and see what our feelings are on a particular subject or a whole range of subjects? Or I believe in a more structured situation, Mr. Mayor. I do not necessarily believe that should all be in closed session. Some should be, most should be in open session. But it's got to be subject matter specific, I believe.
All right, thank you, Councilor Beckert. I wonder, Mr. Tebow, there is a certain amount of unfamiliarity with this, myself included. And is there something that could be drafted up just as far as some suggestion ideas or with what Councilor McLean is suggesting as a possibility for some future reference and future input? Councilor McLean?
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to interject for just 2 seconds here.
Sure.
Maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be that long, but I think maybe just in like even once a month check in just to see how we're doing on the strategic planning. And I agree, it doesn't need to be in closed session. It just needs to be, I feel like us as a council, I think we just need to kind of get on the same page a little bit more, kind of look at our priorities. What are we wanting to do as a council? I feel like sometimes we're losing sight of some of the goals that we wanted to set as a council, and we don't see them on a regular basis, and so I'm like forgetting, okay, what's coming up next? What should we be focusing on? Or has anything changed? So maybe if we could just briefly see it, at one of our meetings during the month, not both, but just one of the meetings maybe, and then, just as a council, okay, yeah, how are we feeling about these? Great, and then move on with the meeting. It doesn't need to be long.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tebow.
Again, if council wants to direct us to something, we can certainly we can make sure there's an agenda. We can do it as frequent as required. I think the idea is fine. I don't know if it can sit inside of if it would fit inside of an existing meeting structure, or if we would do something outside of that existing meeting structure. Again, council could help us out with that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tebow. I just wonder if it'd be beneficial just to see what an example of one of the MD's format is like. If it's open session information, then that's public, right? So at least that would give us all an idea exactly what's involved, how they go about that. Been doing that for the last few years, I believe. Councilor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And to Mr. Tebow, when is our next strategic planning session?
So it would line up with our December meeting typically is when that would be for the final quarter.
All right. That enough information for you at this stage for a little bit, but you need an actual motion in that regard, or just you have enough information for follow-up at this stage?
There's been a lot of talk, so a motion would be helpful to get us in the right direction.
Councilor McLean, are you comfortable with some form of motion?
Yep, I can. Did Joanne want to say something first?
Actually, I had that. Yes, and Councilor Sorensen, you also had a question.
Well, I just would request that it not be in December, because unfortunately I won't be attending that. So if it could be moved to January, I would prefer that if possible.
Okay, we do only have one scheduled meeting for December as it is, right? So that a reasonable ask, Councilor McLean? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council directs administration to allow for what's the meeting called exactly? Strategic planning session to happen at one of our council meetings for the month.
Month of January?
Or for the month of January, yes. And also going forward that we can have it more than quarterly.
All right. Got all the bases covered, Mr. Tebow?
That'll cover frequency. Is there anything we wanted to talk about for topics
Content.
or like agendas or come back with some sort of information package for council to decide on, like research or something?
All right. Any specific, Councilor McLean?
Well, I thought that was already part of the strategic planning sessions that we already had. Like just kind of that format of our goals and priorities.
Okay, we
for
can use that.
council.
Yep.
All right, Counselor Sorensen?
Just a friendly amendment to review our current strategic plan.
Yeah.
With that.
Okay, very well.
Just one more thing, more frequently than quarterly would be, are you wanting once a month, once every second month? What are you thinking?
At least every second month.
Bi-monthly, okay, bi-monthly. All right. All right, we have a friendly amended motion on the table. Any further discussion? Counselor Beckert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can it be read back, please? It's kind of convoluted in my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, the motion made by Councillor McLean that council directs administration to allow for a strategic planning session to happen at one of our council meetings for the month of January, and also going forward that we can have it more than quarterly with a friendly amendment to review the strategic plan, and the clarification that the frequency would be every second month.
All right. All right, once again, we do have a friendly amended motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Any other standing item council requests? All right, seeing none whatsoever. No delegations. No media inquiries.
No media inquiries that I'm aware of.
All right, I would ask for a motion to move into our 30-minute meal break then, please. Councillor Firth?
Mr. Mayor, do we have a delegation here for our first closed session item? If so, I would just ask that maybe. So in that case, I move that we go into
Alright.
closed session.
All right, motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you.